Yeah, it took 70 games into a 82-game regular season.
It's okay.
But
82 practices. We just had some bad practices.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is actually the first time since the beginning of the season when we were coming off the optimism of last season, and Paul
Yes.
George standing in the center of the Rico Hines court, being like, "You guys are gonna start, 18-2, and if you don't, I'm gonna be shocked." This is the first time that I actually feel really good about the Raptors. Like, I feel some optimism about this team. I feel like these last two wins, and all the talk about the starters and like what Jakob's been doing. We got the Pascal bounce back game last night. OG's playing the best basketball of the season. Fred is looking fresh. I think Scotty's really finding his role. We won't talk about the bench for now, but like I think these are really concrete things and like legitimate, permanent things that like we can feel positive about. And like I know that what this team can get to this season is capped, based on just how they've performed this year, right? Like they're in the
Sure.
play-in tournament. At best, maybe you could argue they get to, the same result as last season, right? Like get to a first round series, maybe losing a competitive 6 games or something like that. But I really feel like for the first time all season, like I actually feel like there can be some optimism and some good takeaways from this season, which I couldn't say like a month ago.
I mean, I feel a lot better about the team with Jakob Poeltl in it. I think that he's brought a lot of composure on both ends. I think it's allowed the Raptors to play less of a compromised style where, let's say they play Shea early in the season without Yak. A lot of aggressive double teams. A lot of having to double the post because the Raptors didn't have a big man inside to defend against the center. Not a problem, I guess, against OKC. We don't really have that either. But a lot of double teaming stars to get rid of the ball, a lot of having put OG on bigger guys, and it just felt like a lot of compromise, and of course, you have a lot of plays where you're not finishing inside, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like a lot of those things have gone away. Everyone looks like they're playing much more comfortably. The starting lineup played awesome last night. Everybody had 16 points or more. I thought Scotty had his moments where he really took over. I really liked his performance from last night. And it was confirmed watching back on the tape. I thought OG was super efficient in his role. Only took 9 shots, but, scored very, very efficiently, knocked down threes, played great defense. Fred, I think, has been rejuvenated ever since he's had a legitimate pick-and-roll partner for the first time in, 3 years. And he's looked like he's getting separation, coming off the high screens, and he's able to pull up. His shot looks a lot better as well. He's knocking a lot more of those down. And then, of course, the only guy who has been really struggling lately from the starters is Pascal. And then he bounced back in a big way last night. 25 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, no turnovers, shot the ball efficiently, hit 3 threes as well. Things are looking good. And whatever, it's just like beating OKC at this point in the season. You should be able to beat them even though they have the same record as the Raptors right now. But you should take care of your business. But no, it's just good to see. Like you can even just... You feel a lot more comfortable watching the game, which I know is rich coming from me, given how much I was yelling last night in the booth.
We'll
But it's all good. It's all good.
We'll get to Ben Taylor. We'll get to the arena after. No, I think all of that stuff. And we talk about so many wins this season. When you look back, like close wins against like lesser competition, or like needing someone like Pascal to score like 52 just to like pull out an overtime win at the Garden, like. Just I don't know, something feels different about this team, and I hope I'm not wrong about it as they get into these 2 games on the weekend. But like you mentioned, Pascal having that bounce back, especially encouraging. I think seeing him get to the free throw line, being so aggressive early on, right? And he finished with the 8 free throw attempts, only 4 of 8, but 10 free throw attempts combined in the last 6 games. I know we talked a lot about his slump, and I don't think there was anything like Pascal plays at such a he's an all NBA player, all-star, where I don't think a 5-6 game slump is any reason for concern or like a referendum on his play. And I think we always felt like he was going to bounce back, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw plenty of trade Pascal and build around OG and Scotty takes after the Laker game.
Please, man.
No, I mean, it is what it is. It's the nature of the business. But no, I think, for Pascal, I wasn't too worried, but obviously you would want to see him play at his level. And I thought that, he was super aggressive going inside the paint. I mean, listen, we can also be realistic. OKC doesn't have a proper big wing to guard against Pascal, nor do they have a center. I mean, like, who were they playing at center last night? One of the Jalen Williamses, your boy Asian Brunson. Shouts to Filipino Heritage Night as well. I'm gonna have to get your scouting report on Ron Harper's speech last night as well. But
Got you.
yeah, like they're playing like a 6A guy at center, and then off the bench it was Dario Saric.
Oh yeah, Herbie Kuhn pronunciation of the night award goes to Dario Saric.
Yeah, no, hearing him toggle between Dario Saric and Jakub Pato, it's man, generational stuff.
What is that whispery voice?
No, it's Croatian, but
Also confirmed Oren doesn't mind that Will impersonates him on air. Was that the conclusion?
I think he just wants to maintain the attendance on the show and still be invited. So he's just being nice.
Okay, but OKC
I don't imagine he loves it too much.
OKC did not have a big, did not have any.
Yeah,
that
and
could
so
match
I
up.
thought Pascal was able to like really get inside and not be too worried about sort of getting a shot blocked or anything like that. But I mean, at the same time though, like he just played with a lot more energy. I thought he took the right shots as well. Watching him in warmups, he was noticeably making a lot more threes than usual. And I thought that was probably going to bode well for the game itself. And of course, he did knock down 3 of 5 from 3. And yeah, I mean, we all know what he's capable of, really. Like, I just think that players go through ups and downs, but I didn't think there was anything wrong with him physically. I didn't think it was fatigue, and I didn't think it was a fit thing. I think it was just Pascal wasn't playing well. So it was good to see him play much better. I think him playing well really allows the Raptors to balance out some of those lineups where, if Pascal is playing at that level where he can really create, all of a sudden he can bring up the level of the bench, right? Like, yes, the second unit didn't really create a lot of offense for themselves. However, Pascal drawing double teams and kicking it out to Gary really does help as a source of offense, knocking out a couple threes. And again, just balancing out that bench group, right? Because last night what the Raptors did was they put Christian Koloko in the game as the backup center in place of Precious, and that really steadied the defense. When you looked at the tape, I mean, like our friend Assad Alvi has a great video over at Yahoo Sports Canada where he broke down Christian Koloko's 0-point game, but why it was actually a very good 0-point game, and he talked a lot about the shot contests that went into it. And so with Christian taking care of the defensive aspect, now you just need something on offense to sort of balance you out. And I thought Pascal brought some of that. Gary brought some of that. And, that's why I think over the course of the game, I didn't think OKC was able to go on any sort of sustained kind of runs because the Raptors had balanced lineups out there. And, of course, the starting lineup didn't dominate to start. They actually missed a couple of layups and stuff like that, and they weren't able to build an early lead. But when they came back at the end of the second quarter, they were great. When they came out to start the third quarter, they were great. And then when they came back into the finish, the fourth quarter, they were great once again. So, yeah, I think it's not too dissimilar from some of the recent games we've been seeing where the starting lineup has played well. It's just the bench is sort of bottomed out to such a degree by not, by changing the rotations a little bit and also balancing out sort of, what the bench is doing. All of a sudden, the Raptors got a neutral bench performance combined with their usual strong starting lineup performance, and that's how you get these nice wins.
Yeah, you're starting to see a formula that I think, if they can discover a couple guys off the bench. Last night there was, 3 guys off the bench who was a plus in the plus minus. Might be a thing to monitor as we do the bench watch. And you mentioned, Gary, 35 minutes, had the 23 points. And, obviously the biggest roster move, like you said, was Christian Koloko playing and Precious catching the DMP. What did you make of that? What did you make of, Nick talked about it after the game, said that, having Jakub and having Christian out there for those minutes is going to bode well for their defense. And he wants to try to find more minutes for Precious at the 4 instead of center. What did you make of that roster move?
I would say it was bold, but not really. I think in retrospect, it just makes sense. Like, look, listen, I don't think the Raptors have time to sort of like coddle people's feelings.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not playing well, if you're not delivering, we have to do it somewhere else. Like the Raptors have no more time left. Like it's go time. Right. So yes, Precious has been underperforming to such a degree that like it became a 5-minute segment on every podcast that we were doing.
Yeah.
Where I was just highlighting like he's missing a screen here, he's rolling badly here, he's missing a rotation here, he's fouling here, he's missing a shot here. It's like it was just too much. So took him out, put Christian in the group, and listen, this is a higher end of what Christian can do, right? Because we know that Christian can also be prone to foul trouble. And that's actually something I really liked yesterday. Christian only committed 1 foul yesterday, and that was because his face got in Jalen Williams' elbow.
Yeah, so fractured nose. He's listed as questionable for tomorrow and likely will play, but with a mask. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, he was able to come in and be really solid for you. And listen, I'm not asking for the world here. Like, I think there are certain, and I don't think Nick is easier. I think obviously there is the added rim protection that I think Christian can do, but also I think that his defensive instincts, he looks a lot more solid on that front. He was really in great positions last night because anytime Christian's out of position, the refs are going to attack him with a foul. So the fact he only had one foul in 12 minutes is actually really, really impressive to me. And by the way, that one foul should have been reviewed for a flagrant, but whatever. On Jalen Williams, not on Christian. The other thing too is just like, look, the Raptors can't have the bench bottom out to that degree. It really ruins the whole ethos of the team. Like, yes, the starters can be great. And listen, I'm not asking for the bench to be amazing, but can you just be solid? And if Christian could at least hold up the defensive aspect, which is to challenge for a lot of shots, right? The Raptors also played a lot of zone in that cover with the second unit. That's not the first time they've done that. I recall earlier in the season when the Raptors had their 3-game win streak, vaunted 3-game win streak, where they beat Charlotte twice.
Teams. Oh, yeah.
And then Portland. They also played a lot of zone with their second unit at that point, where it was Christian, Precious, and Chris, and they're able to get stops that way. Obviously, they just took Precious out of that. They still had Chris involved, but these are like the bench just has to come in and just maintain at minimum, right? And I feel like Precious wasn't doing that. And so, yeah, you turn to Christian. Now, I think for Nick, he was also very cautious to say post-game. He's like, you could tell he doesn't want to like fully commit to saying like, this is my group, because at the same time, he's had temporary fixes for the bench this season. But of course, the bench players have been very inconsistent. And so he's had to find multiple temporary changes. And so I don't think he's like completely 100% set, like this is what I'm going to do. But I think this is what they should do the next game. And they should continue to do that as long as it continues to work. And listen, I think another thing too is just, it's not like Precious is like going to be out of the rotation forever, right? I could easily see a scenario like, let's say when they play Minnesota tomorrow, where Christian picks up 2 quick fouls or 3 quick fouls in the first quarter, and all of a sudden Precious has to come in, or someone has to come in at center, right? So like, it's not even something that is going to be a more extended thing. But I do think it's a bit of a serious sort of a wake-up call, where it's like, look, since joining the Raptors last season, Precious has started at least 50 games.
Okay.
Right? He's been fairly involved. When he's not starting, he's a big part of the bench, usually one of the first 2 guys off the bench, right? He has not had a DNP CD since coming to the Raptors. And so for it to get to this point where it does happen, it is one of those things where as a professional, you got to see how you respond to that. Do you respond to positively and work your way back into the rotation by earning the coach's trust and doing the right things and staying focused? Or do you sort of take it the wrong way and allow this to be a more extended thing, right? And so this is where, I'm hoping that for Precious, he takes it positively, because it is a wake-up call.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen, like, Nick sat down with him earlier in the season for a film session, and I know, he's expressed disappointment in his play several times. I wonder, too, you talk about not needing the bench to be like, overwhelmingly like amazing. Like, Nick said that earlier this week at practice. He's like, I just need them to come in and not blow a lead. He literally said this like word for word. He's like, I just need them to not waste the 12 minutes that the starters have put out there. So like the bar has been like set lower now for these guys. So I wonder too, like when Precious comes back into the rotation, or when he next gets an opportunity, and like you mentioned, it might be as soon as tomorrow, like what are the things that you just want to see from Precious? Because at this point, like, I know we love to talk about all the skills that Precious can bring, with his athleticism, both ends of the floor. Like, do you just want to focus on defense? Like, can he just be like a Christian Coloco type, like just have an impact on defense? Because at this point, it's not about developing all these pieces of Precious's game. Like, you just need someone serviceable to just come in and give you like 10, 15 minutes.
By the way, a quick correction, because I looked it up, because I said the Raptors have started Precious at least 50 games. Yeah. They've started him 39 games, to be clear, in the 2 seasons. However, that's not bad, though. He started 2/3 or 1/3 of the time.
Can we just have Precious focus? You know what I mean? Like, focus on one area, be a positive impact player there.
Okay, I'm not sure how to really express this other than to say, like, who Nick wants Precious to be, or who the Raptors want Precious to be right now for this team in this role, is probably pretty different than who Precious wants to be for his career.
Okay.
When you see Precious, he's a very ambitious player.
Yes.
And sometimes those moments and ambitions are confirmed, or when he's able to actually pull off some of those plays. That's
Mhm.
why we're so excited about his potential,
Mhm.
right? And even when he's been struggling like this, I still maintain that he's the Raptors' second best prospect. Like, and I do
Mhm.
think that there's a huge role for him to play for this team going forward. There's no long term concern for me here. However, when we're talking about right here, right now, it's
Yep.
not necessarily about what Precious can do 5, 6 years down the line when he can develop that handle and shoot the three consistently, and and really, develop more situational awareness, and really, really start to take over games and create for himself. I'm thinking about how the Raptors can beat the Minnesota Timberwolves on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then when they travel to Milwaukee, how they can compete against Milwaukee, and
Mhm.
so on and so forth, right? And so, what's the specific role we need out of those scenarios, right? And when you
Mhm.
look at the game tomorrow, for example, you're probably going to need pretty strong rim protection against, someone like Anthony Edwards, who's really going to put pressure on the basket, or even Rudy Gobert, who's going to be physical around the paint, and he's going to, demand some, physicality to box him out, and some length to challenge his shots as well. Um, that's what I need, right?
Mhm.
And so it's not just about like what the long term thing is for Precious right now. I think he's got to buy into sort of what the specific needs are right now. And again, lots of things are under his own control. Like screening is under your control. I've never
No, I get
thought
it.
so hard about screening until more recently when I watched how many of these were missed.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Right. And it's like these are the basic things. It's like, yo, if you
Mhm.
don't screen well, all of a sudden the play doesn't break, doesn't happen.
Mhm.
Pascal doesn't have an open shot. Fred doesn't have an open shot. Gary doesn't have an open shot. There's no initial advantage. You can't run the sequences after that. You can't get the ball either because you haven't really created it for your ball handler.
Mhm.
Like it just breaks down everything, right? So again, it's really just about a time to refocus. And I'm sure Nick has a role for him, right? He says right now backup four. It's interesting to me because I guess that means Boucher might go to backup three. But
Mhm.
hey, listen, that could be a lineup, right? Maybe they're really struggling with dribble penetration, and they really want to amplify how much rim protection they have. They can play in a zone where they put Christian in the middle, Precious at four, and Chris at three,
Mhm.
and really try to dominate, the defensive aspect of the game. That's something we've seen from Nick earlier, and maybe we'll see it as soon as this weekend. But that's the situation right now, and it is disappointing for sure. I mean, I think we were all expecting this big jump from Precious, but these things happen, and of course the Raptors, they got the result last night. That's the one thing you can't argue with.
Yeah, and the other positive off the bench last night was I believe Gary made a pass on a fast break, right?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
a bit of an ugly fast break. The Raptors
When is it not?
once again the Raptors had like three guys running
When does
the
a fast
lane.
break not end with Gary rolling his whole body into the stanchion in the back?
Even when he's seemingly open, he will do that. But yeah, I don't know. It looks like when you try to double jump in Smash. But yeah, he did have a little shovel pass to OG
There we
for a
go.
dunk in transition.
There we go.
So no, that's progress. I mean, I thought Gary also played well in general.
No, for sure.
He got extended minutes again, 35 minutes, which is great. I mean, when you look at the top six, OG had 29, and that's only because he picked up two quick fouls
Mhm.
guarding Shea in the fourth quarter. Siakam played 34, Yak played 29, Scotty 35, Fred 34, and then Gary 35. I think that's probably the idea that Nick probably pitched to Gary, if there were such a conversation, where it's like, look, yes, we are sending you to the bench, but you're still a big part of these lineups, and you're going to play us, especially when your offense is going, right?
Mhm.
And so when you have six guys in last night who all played between 29 and 35 minutes, that's an ideal minute distribution. And of course, Gary was able to make his shots. 8 of 11 from the field is great, but 4 of 6 from three is the main thing for me. Got us a couple steals as well. To be honest, it's hard to break down Gary's game because sometimes you're just like, it's a make or miss league.
I was just gonna say it's really just make or miss.
It's
I
not
think
like he got much better shots than he did, like, for example, in LA when he went 0 for 9.
It's just
but,
whether he make. Yeah, no, I think
yeah.
Joe Wolfman called him a trick or treat player. Like that's really it. Just it's trick or treat every night.
You were listening to that while you were hooping at Scotiabank?
I finished hooping at 1:45.
Is that the same jersey, by the way? I've seen that on your Instagram. You know what I mean?
The G League Ignite.
Yeah.
Shouts to the Ignite.
A little OVO owl on the front,
Yeah,
too.
shouts to Mark Valena.
This guy also got the Patagonia vest with the purple inside.
Fan shout outs coming, returning in the second segment.
Oh, okay, got you. My bad.
Jakob Pertl, another great game, 16, 12, and 4. What'd you make of the hack a yak strategy, which didn't work? Didn't work in the fourth quarter. He ended up finishing 8 of 10 from the free throw line overall. And I think he only missed one free throw during that sequence in the fourth quarter.
I'm not surprised because I think some team was bound to sort of use it against the Raptors. I think there's two general ways you can kind of go intentional fouling in that way. We did see one version of it where it was in Denver when they lost. That was the Scott Foster game. And we did see Jokic.
It's really bad that we have several games that can be named after refs. We have their names are.
Their names are. We had
the Scott Foster game,
the Scott Foster game. There was that play where Jokic very smartly grabbed Yak, screening for the ball within the last 2 minutes. Now, typically in the last 2 minutes, if you just foul away from the ball play like that, it's one technical free throw, and then you maintain possession. However, because Yak was screening for the ball, technically he's involved in the play, and so that was a very smart move by Jokic. And of course, Yak missed both free throws there. So that's one version of it. That's more situational. The other version is the more traditional hack-a-shack strategy, which we saw here against Yak, where OKC was down, I think, roughly 10 points with about 7 minutes left. The thing is, the scenario was pretty ideal for them in the sense that they had already committed 4 team fouls at that point. And so, it's not like they had to commit 5 straight fouls just to get themselves into the bonus. I've seen that, by the way, before, where they used to do that against DeAndre Jordan or something like that. And there's a play where I think a team really took like 5 or 6 fouls in a row.
Put Jordan in the bonus, the bonus?
No, they legit were like, no, let me get into the bonus. They had to commit like 5 away from the ball fouls. I forget. This is like 2018.
Like you always say, man, that's not how the game is played.
That's not how the game is played.
That's please, man.
That's like my strategy of just rolling the ball out and holding for 24-second shot clock violation.
I think that one actually has some mathematical merit. Like I'm not
okay.
Kidding. I bet you Nick has actually looked into it, man, based on his comments on the bench.
Yeah, that's how you lose the locker room if you ever play that strategy. But yeah, I mean, for this situation, so they grabbed Jakob 3 times in the span of a minute. And yeah, I mean, he went to the free throw line, he was knocking them down. I thought, not even joking, like before our interview with Jakob Poeltl on Wednesday, part of the reason I was late for the show was because he went through all this extra work working on free throws, him and Christian both.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I thought, I was like, okay, all right, like, enough.
Yeah, this guy said enough.
I was like, yo, please, I just need to go back to the studio. Alex is going to have to do a solo show.
Please, I'm going to have to speak in 0.25 speed.
Yeah, it was tough. But yeah, I mean, I think all that kind of extra work, I mean, I think it's clearly an area of focus for him. He only shoots like 53% career from the foul line. But yeah, he made 5 of 6, and the one free throw he missed, Scotty was able to chase the shot down and then recycle the possession where Scotty was eventually able to get the pass back from Yak for a dunk. So
recycle the possession. I like that.
So the Thunder really actually gave up 7 points for free to the Raptors.
Wow, they said
on
BOGO.
They just said BOGO, man.
Yo, recycling a possession, I love that, man. The Raptors have the most environmentally friendly offense in the league, then, because they be recycling a lot.
We recycle, baby.
Man. No private jets in this offense. Yo, how many bench guys do you think have to be good for the Raptors to win their potential 2 playing games? Do you think it's 2?
Brother.
I think if they go with 7 guys, if they have 7 good guys in those 2 games, theoretically, if they play the 2 games, I think they're good.
First off, it'd be a real surprise if Nick played 7 guys, period, in a 1-game playoff. It might be 6.
Do you think he'll go more than 7?
No,
he'll go 8. I think he'll go 8. 8 at least.
It depends. The 8th guy's playing 5 minutes, though. And no, this is not like a Nick joke. This is like what I actually would like to see. I want to see the starting lineup all play 40 minutes in that one
I think they're gonna have
crucial playing.
I think they're going to have to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen multiple Game 7s involving the Toronto Raptors. Do I need to read off the minutes
no, I'm
played?
pretty sure if you check the bubble stats too, wasn't the bubble stats pretty ridiculous too?
I've never wanted to open the bubble stats.
Yeah, you know what? I've never wanted to revisit that Boston series, even though there are some great games in there.
But yeah, I mean, look, to your point, Gary needs to play well.
Yep.
He needs to have at least one big play well off the bench.
Yeah, you need a big. So that's 7. That's 7 right there.
Chris Boucher is probably going to have to play. If not him, then I guess Christian or Precious.
Yeah. I'm just kind of thinking ahead because I feel like in those, obviously the Raptors heading for that one and done type scenario. It's going to be obviously very short leashes from Nick when it comes to the bench.
And again,
in those games.
it needs to be that's sort of what I expect to see. I think my question to you is have you liked what you've seen out of Will Barton?
I mean, I don't think there's anything that's jumped out to me about Will Barton.
Yeah.
I think he's been fine. But I'm not sure, to be honest, if you told me, how Jeff Dowd was playing before they signed Will Barton.
Oh, Jeff is sick. Jeff's like,
no, but what?
Jeff's definitely going to sit on the bench being like, I could do that.
Could Jeff, how are you impersonating? Yo.
Oh, by the way, have you heard a Jeff Dowd interview?
You've impersonated Herbie, Orrin Weisfeld, and Jeff Dowd, man. Those are your 3 stars today. No, but don't you, I don't know, could Jeff Dowd be contributing in that role right now?
Could Jeff Dowd be giving you pesky on-ball defense and one
Right.
bucket, yeah, he
Right.
could.
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, like I think there is more on upside here. I actually like the way Will Barton played last night.
Okay.
I like the shots that he took. He just missed them
Sure.
outside of one of the 6 attempts. But yeah, I mean,
Like I wouldn't go as far to say he's solidified anything.
no, I
Like,
wouldn't say that either.
Right?
I wouldn't say, but I don't actually know who definitively would outplay the other person in the same
Sure.
spot. You can argue
This is
either
the
guy.
ultimate mid-off, man.
but,
The
yeah.
Will Barton versus Jeff Down argument.
But to your point about
Shells-able
looking ahead to the
families.
play-in, so the Raptors have played 2 Game 7s under
God.
Nick Nurse,
Oh God.
and the
Wait.
first one,
Kawhi, right? This is
the
a
first
Kawhi
one
shot?
was the happy one, right? The Kawhi shot game.
Yeah.
The minutes in that game, Fred VanVleet, 44 minutes and 46. Oh, sorry, this is the 2021. My bad.
Ah.
He definitely didn't play that many. All right, let me go.
No, you're
Marc Gasol, 45 minutes and 12 seconds.
Okay, needed that.
Kawhi Leonard,
Yeah.
43 minutes and
Yeah,
17
pretty sure he
seconds.
took 43 shots too in that
He
game. Yeah.
took 39, including the game
Very
winner.
close to 43. Holy.
Including the game winner, and
He looked around and he's like, "Why is everyone shook, man? I
Well,
guess I'll take every shot."
Serge was not shook.
Oh,
Kyle
right.
Lowry played 39 minutes and 3 seconds.
Great
Pascal
defense in
Siakam.
that game from Kyle.
Oh, yeah. Some amazing
man.
pulling the chair kind of stuff, taking a charge. 37 minutes and 38 seconds for Pascal Siakam. So just a regular game for him these days.
We gotta call in the workplace insurance and safety board at some point.
30 for Danny, 29 for Serge, and then 15 for Fred, who was
Did
really
anyone
struggling.
else? Did anyone else play? Norm.
No one else played. Jeremy Lin, Jody Meeks, Malcolm Miller, Pat McCaw,
Norm
Norm
played. right?
Powell,
Norm didn't.
Eric Moreland, all of them dressed but did not play.
Norm didn't play in that game.
No, he did not play.
7? Oh my God, I did not remember that at all. I know he was terrible in that series, but
Yeah.
wow.
So that's one. That's the first one in
okay,
2019, right?
yeah.
Obviously, everyone
Yeah.
knows.
And by the way, a regulation
this
game.
the dagger.
A regulation game.
The next one, which is
this is
much
that
less
one.
happy,
The bubble
Game
one?
7 against the Celtics,
Yeah.
where unfortunately the Raptors just could not get over the top.
Mm.
In the minutes in that game, Fred VanVleet, 44 minutes and 46 seconds.
Call in the WSIP, man.
Pascal Siakam with 41 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry with 41 minutes and 2 seconds. The only
Yeah.
reason for that is because he fouled out at the end, remember? Right? Because we really needed him at that time.
Yep.
OG Anunoby, 35 minutes and 29
That
seconds.
seems
Marcus
low.
Gasol played 19. Norm played 32 minutes and 41 seconds. Unfortunately, got blocked by Marcus Smart. We don't need to bring that
That
up.
one's so tough.
Serge Ibaka played 20 minutes and 20 seconds. And your man, Matt Thomas, 4
Matty
minutes.
T was perfect from 3 in that game.
How did you know that?
2 for 2, I believe.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. Sorry, I inflated the stats by 100%. Yeah, he's the only player in Raptors history to have 100% three-point shooting in Game 7s.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you do you have the page up for the minutes over that whole series? Like because I just remember obviously they
okay,
went
hold on,
down
give me a
2-0. You know, OG hits that shot, rescues the series. They tie it 2-2. I remember they just lost Game 5 because they were just so tired. Like they just had to punt that game.
Yeah, they lost by like 20 in
they
that
got
one.
blown out, and I'm like, these guys are so tired. And then the fact that they were able to fight and win that, like, what was it 1 overtime? Like the overtime game in Game 6, right?
I
Was
think
it
it was
2
double
overtimes?
overtimes. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
double
but the fact that they were
overtime,
able to fight and win that game, like that was pure, like legit. Never underestimate the Harvard champion energy, and to come back and almost win Game 7 was so impressive, man.
I know those were happier
I'm
times.
telling you, that was a classic series, but it's so hard to revisit because of how it ended.
It was classic, but also classically ugly.
Yeah, but
You know, it
Game
is what it
3,
is, though.
Game 3 is fun. Game 6 is one of the best Raptors playoff games, legit, of all time. Like, except the fact that there was a Zoom crowd. Like,
Oh yeah.
except for the fact
How do I forget
except the
that?
fact that you had everybody on like their Microsoft.
OG hit a 3, and it's just like the Wii Sports.
Yeah,
like,
no, the Microsoft Teams is like, let's do the wave. It's like everybody get on Microsoft
Oh, man.
Teams.
They're like hit the smile emoji, put your hand up emoji. Like,
Yo,
oh my
hit the
god.
100 emoji.
You know
right
what? The
now.
bubble was fake, man. That didn't happen. The Raptors didn't lose to the Celtics. No
Yo,
way, man.
how are those minutes?
those games were played on Microsoft Word. They were played in Word.
Yo, how are the minutes looking like? Did you? have that?
I struggled on this one for some reason. I
Oh,
couldn't
okay, it's
find
all
it.
good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Bro. It's all good.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with your basketball reference game.
No, I mean, I just need like 2 more minutes.
Ben
to find this.
Taylor.
Ben Taylor report.
was
yeah,
in
let's
the
go.
building last night. You know, I guess people don't really have sympathy for refs. You know,
No, they don't.
but I do.
But they are human
a part
beings,
of
man.
me does. If you would allow me 1 minute, like
Yeah.
a part of me does feel bad that a week ago nobody knew who Ben Taylor was. Like I feel like if I asked you,
Yeah.
you know, a connoisseur of referees,
Yeah.
to name like 10 refs, I don't think you would have gotten to Ben Taylor.
I thought you were gonna ask me if you asked me who Ben Taylor was a week ago, and I would have told you someone who made
Their names are.
who made a bad cover of "I Try" by Macy Gray.
Yeah, sounds like the bonus member of Death Cab. But like, I think,
Wow.
I think, I just feel bad because now everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like every time he refs a Raptors game, I feel like the rest of his like career, there's gonna just be a running like storyline there. The fact that one of the 3 refs tonight is Ben Taylor.
Well, no, I thought that was actually one of the positives come out of last night's game was that we didn't fixate on the officials. There weren't technical fouls. It wasn't like Fred and him.
We
got
didn't
into it.
fixate on the. Okay.
Well, we is like a collective.
overall,
I would say out of the 5 of us in the booth, 4 of us didn't fixate on the officials. One of us just unfortunately just hates every call that goes against the Raptors.
No, but you're
Although
right,
to be fair though, the one where Jakob Poeltl dunked it on Shea, that was 100%
how is that
a foul.
how is that not a foul? Yago's literally laying on the ground waiting to go to the free throw line.
Yeah,
and they just kept going.
and they were like, "Okay, inbound, let's go." And I'm like, "What?" So anyway,
okay, but yeah, you're right. Overall, it didn't become a dominant storyline.
I did. I hinted at this in the reaction podcast, but there was, look, listen. I don't understand like everything that goes on with the officiating in terms of like where they go in terms of between games, but there isn't a referee's locker room. I understand, and typically that is shared with other members of the media. And I think in this case yesterday, it was like completely sealed off just for the refs. And I'm just like, look, honestly, like obviously, like, we definitely want favorable calls, and we definitely don't want to see a personal vendetta between Fred and Ben Taylor. But like the fact that the room had to be extra security and everything like that is just like, come on, like.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I just like it shouldn't be like this. Exactly.
It feels
I'm
a little
agree
extra.
With you. No,
it feels a little like I'm not trying to feel bad for Ben, but I do feel bad for him a little.
Yeah,
bit.
no,
The spotlight is
going to
be on him for the rest of like. Listen, it's gonna fade away. People are gonna talk about other things. Like I get it, but it's just. I'm sure it has not been like a comfortable week for him, or a comfortable existence.
I think it'd be comfortable if he just calls every foul in favor of the Raptors.
So Ben, I support you. Hit me up with your game worn ref jersey. Let's do that.
Oh yeah, you guys gonna listen to Brian McKnight together or whatever? What did he say?
Yeah.
His favorite movies are? You guys gonna watch The West Wing?
Oh
just
God.
like 20 people talking full speed at all times while walking through rooms in the White House.
West Wing was wild, man. I remember that show. Oh, okay. I got the stats pulled up.
That show was a podcast, by the way.
Yo, that's a really good point. I got a stats pulled up from that bubble
I also have
Celtics
it.
series.
Let's go.
Oh, I was gonna quiz you, man.
No. Go ahead though.
Yo,
go ahead.
no,
I'm gonna turn this off. I'll turn this off. I can't see it now.
Okay, how many players do you think in that series? How many Raptors do you think average over 40 minutes a game?
Oh man.
I'm gonna set the over under for you. No, actually, I don't want to give you the over under.
Okay.
Wow.
Nah, man.
Derek's coming through.
This is legit Uncle Roger looking
Derek's
at
been
British people cooking fried rice.
5 days to make that timely drop. Just a Derek.
Okay, so this is 7-game series.
7-game series in the bubble.
Which, by the way, involved 3 blowouts in favor of the Celtics.
But like you mentioned, also involved a double overtime game.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Oh man, that really inflates it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna say OG. I'm gonna say Fred, Pascal, and Kyle.
Yeah, so 3. You got the players. OG only averaged 37.6 minutes.
He must have been in foul trouble.
Yeah, so Fred led with 42.4, 42 exact.
42.4. Jesus Christ!
No wonder he's had some
rotations.
No wonder he's had some injury concerns the last few years.
42.4.
And Pascal was at 40.7. And listen, we don't need to revisit this, but that was a tough series.
Yeah.
For P, but he's all good now. Yeah, so 3. So.
Okay, that's
actually I'm not. Yeah,
relatively modest.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised it wasn't 5. Just 5 guys playing 40.
Oh man,
Marc Gasol 21.2 minutes, spent the other 20 minutes getting a haircut and eating his jersey.
Oh man,
we got to revisit the bubble sometime in the off season or something.
Because
Can we
Mark
revisit?
He shaved his head to play better, and then still got cooked by Daniel Tice. And then he left.
Oh my God, yo, you know how sick Daniel Tice was in that series?
Yo, he was amazing.
Yo, that was ridiculous.
Hate Daniel Tice to this day. By the way, just to put some reference into the Game 6 numbers.
Yeah.
So that was the one with the double overtime.
Yep.
The minutes in that game.
Somebody cracked 50. Tell me someone cracked 50.
Pascal, 54 minutes and 14
Here we
seconds.
Go.
Kyle Lowry, 53 minutes and 28 seconds. Fred VanVleet, 50 minutes and 54 seconds.
3 guys played 50. There's no way. You know what? That happened last year against Miami too, right? Didn't like 4 guys play 50?
It's 50 coming out to stereo. No, honestly, this is tough. Yeah, because there's only a total of 58 potentially played minutes, and Pascal played 54 in 14 seconds.
He literally sat 2 TV timeouts.
Yo, Adam Silver was probably just like next door at Disneyland, being like, "Yo, can I get a job? Can I take Bob Iger's
And
job?"
then they gotta order Uber Eats from Tillman Fertitta after.
That's what I'm saying. The bubble was not real, man. The bubble didn't count. You're right. You're right. And then meanwhile, again, that was just we sports fans in the crowd.
The bubble was honestly amazing. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll recap other things around the league. Filipino night, Ron Harper Jr. talking to fans, me at Scotiabank runs.
Yes, sir.
MJ selling the Hornets. Jimmy Butler listening to Nickelback.
Yeah, it's a classic Alex rundown. So we're going to take that break. I've been your host, Willow, and you've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Liu. I'll continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong, who has recovered in those 5 minutes from laughing at the fact that the Raptors played so many minutes. By the way,
I'm not done laughing.
all those minutes for the Raptors in Game 6, that was longer than the Raptors Show, man.
Yo, why are the box scores from the bubble so funny? Anyways,
we got to bring that to the banter pod.
Anyways, just want to shout out a few people on this Friday.
Got you.
We had a chance to go to Scotiabank Arena for a pickup run on Tuesday, thanks to Clement Chu.
That's why we weren't here, by the way.
And CCYA. So, no, it was a super fun experience. Obviously, getting to play on the Scotiabank.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's a dream, man.
Will hit a 3.
Did I hit a 3?
I think you did hit a 3. No,
in like shoot around.
No, I think you hit a 3. I might have it mixed up with the Tuesday run.
I don't think I made a 3.
Oh my God.
In the actual game itself.
All right, I've been hyping
I do remember
so
getting a putback layup against kids and then hitting the too small against them, who are, by the way, literally only 3 feet tall.
Yeah. No, that was great.
Because they're actual children. So
yeah, no, it's fun. Great. And I had a chance got invited yesterday to the Filipino run, thanks to Mark Valena and Rise Tribe. Everybody should check out Rise Tribe. They do a lot of great things. My teammates, Adam Robles, Black Dragon Roll, aka Jerome.
Yo, Jerome has a great shot.
Oh, he was nailing some NBA threes yesterday.
You got the 3 too, because I know he just casually hitting like 95% of it.
Yeah. He the jumper was wet yesterday.
All right.
Lorenzo, photographer, and the ringer on our team. I'm sorry I didn't get your name, but
I thought you were the ringer.
No. The ringer came through in like a tight Nike zip up, zipped all the way, long sleeve. Like it looked like he was just warming up. You know how you can tell when certain guys show up dressed a particular way that they're going to be a sick hooper?
Right.
I feel like anybody with a backwards baseball cap is going to be pretty sick.
Maybe.
I have that. That's my running theory.
Well, anyone with the Peyton Pritchard haircut.
Oh,
it's coming to hoop.
Yeah. Or if they're in the Paul Georges that Will wears, which has now graced the Scotiabank Arena court by Nikola Vucevic and William Liu this season. And Patrick Beverly, I believe, was also wearing those shoes. Man. Amazing company for them to be in.
They're great shoes. What can I say?
Yeah, their shoes are.
Okay.
And then Ron Harper Jr. had a chance to speak with the Filipino fans after the game. So it was super cool, hearing him just talk about, his family.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about, favorite meals and all of that stuff. And
by the way, did I hear right that his one of his grandparents was an Olympian for the Philippines?
So he was was like a pro basketball player and had a huge history there, and Ron was talking about how cool it was to learn about that. So I think it's always
obviously
cool.
everyone knows his dad is literally Ron Harper.
Yes.
Right?
He talked a little bit about too how that's in a way a lot of pressure to kind of carry, right? Like your dad is an NBA champion and all of this stuff, played with MJ. So
Will Lou Jr. gonna need therapy.
Yeah, that was cool. And ran into a Raptors Show fan, Josie, who was there.
Yep.
With her sister. So and then her husband's a huge listener too, fan of the show and the banter pod as well. So she FaceTime calling, and then we talked to him a little bit. So
nice.
No, honestly that's one of the coolest things. I'm sure you would agree. Just being able to kind of run into fans and meet with them.
By the way, Scotiabank Arena was not empty after the game last night. So we had definitely the section below the basket.
Yeah.
Where the Filipino fans were, and Ron Harper came out to talk to them, which, by the way, that's when I had to take a break during the React pod because it got too loud in the arena.
Is that when a Filipino, friend, JR Manatad, came downstairs and abandoned you?
Yeah, I was going to say, so typically, JR is sitting there in the same booth with me, just producing. And this is completely fine. We had no issues, you know what I mean? But I was like, okay, it's getting too loud. Let's go to a break. And then I was like, I turned to the side, and the man was just gone. And I was like, yo, what am I going to do? We might have to relocate. We have to find new solutions. It was all good, though. It was all good. We figured it out.
Yeah, but you mentioned there was not just the Ron Harper thing, the junior thing after the game, right? Shea had a family and friends section.
It was like Shea's family and friends and Lou's family and friends were in the same, rough area of the court, roughly the same area of the court. And no, it was great, man. I would say at least 100, if not 200 people afterwards, and no, it was cool. It was a nice little homecoming for them,
Yeah, no, for sure. And fan of the show, Greg Parker, is coming in from La Belle Province. This
was he the one who asked Pascal the questions post game?
Oh yeah, but talk about that. I've had enough laughs for today. Shouts to every reporter in the game.
It's okay, man. That's how I sound in a grade 9 French as well.
Greg would
That's what I sound like every time I go to Montreal.
Yeah. Shouts to Greg coming along with Sylvia, Anthony, and Jill for I guess tomorrow's game. They went to a game last year, but regrettably it was cut short because it was the Indiana Pacers game. Turns out he said the smoke we could see was not from the pyrotechnics. And we'll never forget the speaker fire game. That was the one game I think you weren't at.
Greg, did you get a refund?
Yeah, that's shit curious. Greg,
you get a refund.
Email me. Let me know what the logistics of that was.
Yeah, we're always thinking about the consumer here on this program.
Yeah. And I guess I have no good way of working in this Anta shout out, so I got to do it next week.
I forgot, by the way, that Fred actually just didn't come out after the restart.
Yes. Fred was, I think, coming off an injury, right? So he played the first part of the game.
It was on fire. And Fred's like, nah, I'm good.
And then the
man.
second part, he was in sweats.
He's like, I got kids to take care of.
All right. Around the NBA, you referenced this
what
yesterday.
about Anta?
Yeah, I have no natural way of working it in. Yeah, so.
Well, this is the natural way. I've just created
no, don't worry about it. Next week.
Okay.
You referenced this yesterday. I actually have not seen footage of this, so I might need a description from you. So Dylan Brooks has been fined $35,000 for an unsportsmanlike act of shoving a camera person on the sideline after pursuing a loose ball earlier this week.
Yeah.
What is Dylan Brooks doing?
So he raced over to the sideline to save a loose ball.
Yeah, and he just shoved.
Yeah, so typically, there's the table there for all the broadcasters, essentially where Matt and Alvin were sitting.
Yeah.
By the way, Matt and Alvin last night, hilarious. I understand that they wore the Peaky Blinder caps.
Oh yes,
all game.
Did notice that.
Which, by the way, so they were doing it because today is St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, I mean, they had the hats, and I asked them, and then they were like explaining it. And then so they were just sitting in the break room, and Savannah comes over and he's like, "Oh, cool hats." And then Matt's like, "Oh, you like them?" And then Matt pulled out another one of those hats for Savannah. And then he's like, "Oh, that's a good color, but we have some other colorways." And Matt pulled out 2 more of those hats from his bag.
Hold on.
This guy had 6 hats in his bag.
You telling me Matt Devlin is Bubbles from The Wire?
No, he was legit Bubbles from The Wire. Except it was like a Wire Peaky Blinders crossover because they were legit, like they look like Thomas Shelby. They look like the Shelby clan.
Show some Matt if you're free next Wednesday.
Man.
Let me know.
Yo, he had
texting you to
6
book
hats
you on
in
the
that
show.
bag, man.
Yo, he said no cap.
No, he said yes cap.
Yo, he said no cap. But yeah, so Dylan Brooks went to get a loose ball and just shoved a camera person.
So yeah, he like braced himself with one hand, stopped his momentum because he was running out of bounds.
Yeah.
On the broadcaster's table.
Yeah.
And then there was a cameraman just kind of squatted there. And he just like with the other hand shoved them over.
Like it was unnecessary.
Yes.
Oh
definitely
my God.
not necessary. And whatever, like people crashing the cameraman, right? But this is one of the situations when you see the camera, like the shot of it happening, you're like, all right.
On the same night, he rolled in sleeveless with a vest. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say this is all also for people there's probably lots of people in the GTA who have played against Dylan Brooks or have been in a gym with Dylan Brooks or something like that because obviously he's from here.
Yeah.
This is just how he is.
Yeah.
This is actually how he is. I've had multiple people tell me that this is how he would be in like a YMCA run.
Okay.
This is how he was when he came here for Crown League. And it was him versus Pascal for some reason.
Yeah, he was at Crown League.
And he was just doing everything you would expect here in that game in the Crown League.
He's just poking guys in the eye for no reason.
He's the NBA's Wario, man.
Yo, he really is, man.
Yeah.
He's more evil than just a regular evil Danny Green.
No, he like legitimately likes to do it, man.
Speaking of the Grizzlies, according to The Athletic, they have decided to leave road cities like Miami immediately after games instead of staying in those cities overnight. So this is you know how we have like the Bird exception? This is the Ja exception.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's tough. They're
Listen,
like we got to get early to OKC.
Hope Ja gets well soon, but goddamn, like this has become a whole thing.
Come on, man.
And Ja is eligible to come back, rejoin the team next week. So keep an eye on that. I actually want to get to so MJ is selling the Hornets. Michael Jordan, Charlotte Hornets owner, is engaged.
Why'd you have to clarify who MJ was?
Yeah, I don't know. Name one other MJ that we know.
I don't know.
Mahjong. Charlotte Hornets owner Michael Jordan. Now I feel weird saying his full name. God damn it.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Yeah,
it's like, what kind of shoes are you wearing? I'm wearing Michael Jordan 3s. Charlotte Hornets owner Michael Jordan is engaged in serious talks to sell a majority stake in the franchise to a group led by Hornets minority owner Gabe Piokin and Atlanta Hawks minority owner Rick Schnell.
It's Plotkin, man.
By the way, you too can work in sports media if you just copy and paste Woj tweets and read them on air. No, but my interesting thing is, aside from the fact that I'm pretty sure MJ lost a $300 million parlay and needs to pay, is that with the Sacramento Kings clinching a winning record and ending their playoff drought, And, Charlotte, no doubt has to be the saddest franchise in the NBA right now.
Oh, yeah,
is there
absolutely.
is there even another contender?
You know what I really want? I want those Charlotte Bobcats jerseys from the year they won like 7 games. Remember, there was
7 and 59. The
yeah,
shortened
It
season.
was a shortened season because they had the lockout. And so they won 7 games.
Yo,
all
I got
season.
it. You want the
Meanwhile,
jersey?
They had
from
a
that.
jersey that just said
Cats. Yeah, the Cats jersey.
Cats.
Yeah.
Just Cats because they were the Bobcats at that time.
It's funny because
Man.
I was at 3 a.m. last night prepping for the show. Going through the Charlotte Hornets
Copy and pasting Woj's tweet.
basketball reference page.
Yeah.
And that season, when they finished 7 and 59, they were hoping to get the number 1 pick, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And, it ended up, Anthony Davis ended up going first overall and not to Charlotte, obviously. And do you remember who they drafted number 2? Your boy, Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Oh, that's
and
you.
number 3 was Bradley Beal. Number 6 in that draft was Dame Lillard, who Portland got because the Nets really needed Gerald Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
For-
Can't wait
for
to
the
ask
stretch.
Bobby Marks about that
So
one.
since returning to Charlotte, because they used to be the Hornets, and then they moved, and then they got an expansion team in 2004 when they came back as the Bobcats. They have made the playoffs 3 times,
Yeah.
and they have lost in the first round every time. Shouts to Jeremy Lin that one time, I believe, took the Heat to 7 games.
Right.
They've
Purple
had
shirt guy.
4 winning seasons since 2004.
And this is during a time where the East was weak. Because at least partially the reason with the Kings being bad
it's
was
not
like the
even
West
that
was
hard
stronger.
to be an 8th seed in the East. Yeah, like during
but
the
you know
stretch.
the funny thing is the Hornets used to be our bogey team. That's why the Gerald Henderson Award exists.
This is what I have too. Like their most notable accomplishments. Number 1, the Kemba era, I'm sure was fun for the fans. Jeremy Lin with a spiked hair.
Jeremy Lin had a different hairstyle every week, and I feel like he was just calling. It
And
was
then
like a signal
Kenyon
for
Martin
help.
was like, "Stop braiding your hair."
Yeah, fair.
Gerald Henderson Award.
Yeah,
right?
That's an
was
actual
created from
accomplishment for that.
And I guess
franchise.
LaMelo.
Right.
LaMelo's fun.
Yeah, when's LaMelo gonna get a speeding ticket, man? There's like a whole video compilation of just him speeding.
Oh yeah, he
Like,
just
what's wrong
turns
with
right
this
and just
franchise,
runs
man?
that light.
Meanwhile, we don't even want to talk about the other storylines involved with the team. No, my only thing is just like the really sad thing with the Hornets is that that year there were 7 and 50. What were they?
59, yeah, 750.
59.
It was still a funny
Wasn't
record.
it Paul Silas who was the coach?
I want to say so, yeah.
And now his son Steven Silas is coaching the Rockets.
Oh,
And,
my
like
God,
that family has to
man.
just ditch basketball, man. It's too much misery.
No, that
There's
was
no way one family of coaches should
that was
should have
tough.
to endure that much
That was
losing.
tough. Before we go, Jimmy Butler reportedly blasted Nickelback in the locker room after a Heat loss in Orlando, and he sang every word. Are you familiar with Nickelback's game?
It was probably the look of this photograph. Song,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
I
I
believe,
need to know what song it was.
Okay.
Oh, it was Photograph.
No, yeah, I believe Photograph is one of his favorites, but yeah, Jimmy's
photograph.
oh my God,
Sorry.
this guy's done Jeff Down, he's done Herbie. Who was the other person he impersonated? Anyways.
That's what you get on Fridays, man.
Anyways, Raptors.
The Raptors win 2 games. We're
Raptors
all
got 2
smiles.
games this weekend.
Yeah.
Minnesota at home, Milwaukee on Sunday. JR Manitat, if they're in the 9-10, it means they have to play 2 games in the play-in.
Yeah, we had to explain to JR
Have a-
how the play-in works.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Okay, all right, that does it for us today. I've been your host, Willow, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks once again to producer and co-host Alex Wong, our board producer Derek Brandale, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping with the YouTube stream. And we will be back soon. See you.